What's up? What it is? Checking in on the soapbox again. Another mental freestyle for you, something to put on your mind. Hey, so what I found out about myself is when I am in a social setting or um, interacting with human beings or humankind or humanity, when I'm not in my moments of solitude, I feel as though I prefer the company of women with genuine feminine energy, not women who have ulterior motives or have been pretty much influenced or persuaded to carry themselves according to the way the system would prefer for them to carry themselves, if that makes sense. And I guess I'll elaborate. You know what I'm saying? Me, I'm comfortable in the presence of women who embody, to me, genuine feminine energy. Because in my mind, women represent the key to peace or the key to um, growth and progress. You know what I'm saying? Just that's what they represent. And on the flip side, in my experience in my life, what men represent more times than not is conflict, war, confrontation. Because I feel like we as men, we haven't developed the ability to peaceably disagree, because that's how you build. Disagreements are how you build. First, you have to understand something or someone to form an agreement or a disagreement position. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand to begin with, you can never agree or disagree. But then once we understand and then we disagree with the point, I feel as though in my experience, we as men have not figured out how to peaceably disagree. It's always going to be conflict. Where in my experience, again, I'm just speaking on me, when I'm in the company of women and there's a disagreement, more times than not, I'm not talking about the opposite of a woman. All females are not women in my opinion, but that's a discussion for another time. I'm talking about genuine women more times than not. Mature women, if there's a disagreement, that's an opportunity to build and come to an understanding or common ground. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I realized about myself. And I realized this when I was like younger too, because of course the natural desire for a man to want to be or be with a woman, that's going to spur you in your beginning stages when you know, get to the point where I am now, as far as how I feel and see or view women, the company of. But when I was younger, just my desire to want, it's all about the unknown, because the unknown can either make you fear or it can have you interested. And it's like, if you fear the unknown, you'll never want to get acquainted to understand the unknown. But if your desire is to understand what's not known, then that's going to spur you or drive your desire to be around that which you don't understand. Because a man would never fully understand a woman at all, at no point in history, because you're not that. You can never fully understand what you ain't. You see what I'm saying? And then vice versa. A woman would never fully understand a man. But then on this journey in human life, on our road to developing and creating something higher than ourselves or aspiring to something higher than ourselves, that should be your aspirations in life, is to understand what you don't know. So therefore, by natural curiosity, you know what I'm saying? That's what draws me to want to be in the company of women more times than not. Because my experiences have been more times than not great and positive throughout my life. Of course, there's hiccups along the way because everybody has their own way of dealing with things, carrying things out. Everybody has their own motives, their own perspective, their own outlooks, you know? And even in that vein right there, you will never fully understand what somebody's motive is until you're familiarized as far as your presence in their presence is concerned. If the more you're around something, if you have the capacity to understand, if you're willing to learn, you know what I'm saying? You will understand in time, at least a little bit more than what you did before. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you had no understanding, limited understanding is better than no understanding. And if you seek to build on that limited understanding, then there's always opportunity to understand further, you know? Just like, for example, if you want to start a business today, right? You have the idea right now. But until that idea cannot become a plan if you don't understand what it takes to start and put that in motion. Because knowledge, to me, in my opinion, and if you disagree with this, comment down below, you know what I'm saying? Let me know. But in my opinion, knowledge is the first step. Once you know, cool. When you understand, you know what I'm saying? Understanding makes it to where you can now act upon according to your understanding, because we all operate according to our own understanding. Once you know and then you understand, you can now proceed to move. That's movement to me. And then your wisdom comes and, you know what I'm saying, your movement and your understanding. You see? And it might reshape your understanding. You might conquer misunderstanding to grow toward understanding, but nonetheless, the wisdom don't come until you experience, you know what I'm saying, or you do something to gain that wisdom. And that's another thing. Somebody asked me a question the other day, like, yo, as far as your culture is concerned, you know what I'm saying, do you feel as though it was taught to you at a young age to respect your elders, all elders? And then I thought about it and I was like, nah, because how I carry myself, I give this respect if you're deserving of, if you're worthy of. Just because you hold a certain position or a title or whatever the case may be, don't mean that that warrants me or warrants my respect. I could choose and decide based on what you're doing. Because just because you have age or you have numbers as far as your age is concerned, just because you have been on earth a number of years doesn't mean necessarily that you've gained understanding, wisdom for the better. You could have gotten tainted knowledge up until that point, to the point where now your wisdom is almost a detriment to progress. It like stands in the way or impedes progress, because how you conditioning you throughout your life, or the conditions that shapes you to be who you are today in your life, dictates what your wisdom is whether it's positive or for the negative. And then that also, the way you'll understand or find out whether the wisdom is for the good or for the better, that's determined by you. What are you trying to achieve in life? If it's your life goal to get a degree, get enough book knowledge to get a job and work for somebody for the rest of your life to get a high paying job, if that's your goal, and somebody's giving you wisdom or knowledge according or understanding based on their experience in life, according to that, then that's good wisdom for you. You know what I'm saying? That's something you can soak up. But if your goal or your agenda is something outside of that or just different, period, then that's how you decide who's worthy of your respect and who isn't, by way of your principles, what you decide to stand on. You see what I'm saying? So I know I kind of went off on the whole little thing right there, but my overall point is, you know what I'm saying, throughout my experiences, what I've come to understand is more times than not, when it comes to men and women, what I found out personally is I get joy and pleasure out of just conversations with the fair sex, with women. Because there's a natural, there's just a genuine, pure, natural. It's like the essence of, you know what I'm saying, a natural inclination for compassion or understanding, to want to come to a common ground. You see what I'm saying? To want to come to a place where you are on the same page with who you're in contact with or who you're encountering at the time. And the ability or want to understand dictates the willingness of a person to learn that which they don't. You know what I'm saying? That which you're not privy to. If you're stuck in your ways or stuck in your understanding and you don't care about any other perspective, then you cool with not knowing what the next person believe or see or what they think. You cool with that because you're comfortable in your understanding. But those who seek to know something outside of them or want to understand something different, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of growing, not to assimilate to their belief or ideal and imitate them, but for the sake of your own personal elevation. You know, if you seek to find or see something or understand something outside of your understanding, then that shows me right there that you are for growth. You are for development. You're not comfortable and complacent where you are right now. Because let me tell you, man, when it comes to my tribe, those of mine, you know what I'm saying, that undergo the same struggle, we are not where we need to be right now. And to stop right here and be cool with that, that showed me right there that anything that you would, in that vein, if you would teach somebody that's under you, you're misguiding them, and therefore I don't want to be in your company like that. Now, I understand as human beings, you have to interact at times with people you don't agree with. I get that, because then at that time, you'll be an antisocial nut if you don't, you know, still congregate. I get that part. But you can still decide and pick what you offer or what you um provide in those interactions. But don't just totally cut off anything that's different from you, because then you will cheat yourself out of the social interaction, because we are social creatures. Human beings need to be social, or you'll go, you know, off the deep end. You know, that's why I feel as though prison, the way that they have prison as the repercussion to what they criminalize in this country, that's like almost the worst punishment. That's close to death. That's almost like dying. The conditions that you're subjected to in prison or jail, confined, you know what I'm saying? Non-nutritious meals that they feed you. Of course, conflict with people that have mental health disorders and stuff like that. You're boxed in with all these different elements that is not for you. That's not where you can grow at, unless you make it up in your mind to grow. You know what I'm saying? Like our ancestors have in the past, like a Malcolm X or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Where if you make it your point, or Malik El-Haj Shabazz, whatever you subscribe to, it's all love. You know what I'm saying? Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't take it personal. But look, you know what I'm saying? Malcolm, you know what I'm saying? When he made it up in his mind to build himself in a position or under circumstances that were not in his favor, that's what made that man come out of that institution prepared to conquer the world, bro, or prepared to conquer the country, whatever, how you want to put it, however you want to say it, you know what I'm saying? But that made him a more elevated version of his prior self, is what I'm trying to get at. You see what I'm saying? So that being said, the prison system as it stands now is not for that purpose. And that's more than likely the reason, you know what I'm saying, is becoming privatized, or it's being monetized by those who have the resources to make it a larger entity, kind of like they did the mega churches. You know, more resources mean more building. You know, the more resources you have, the more you can build. You see, that's common sense. Just like take it to a microcosm level, on a personal level. If you have $1,000 in your account right now, as opposed to $2 million, you know what I'm saying? Are you closer to building your house, or building a family, or building anything with the 1,000 or the 2 million? Before you have, imagine that they're both on the same level as far as understanding is concerned. Neither one have the understanding, but one has 1,000 in their account, the other one has 2 million. Before they even get the understanding, who's closer to building something that could potentially withstand the test of time? The one with the more resources, you know? It's no different. And we're in the words of Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? God bless the dead. We in the rat race to build or attain more resources to build more. Because what you build in your lifetime will be left behind for the next. Whoever has control, or whoever has control over what you built or created when you leave, that's who gets the benefits from what you left behind. You know? So that's common sense. So I'm, like I said, going way back to what I was on before. When it comes to building or wanting to go beyond your current position, my natural desire is to be around those who want to see themselves in a higher position. So therefore, just by probability or based off numbers or percentages, whatever you want to call it, in my experience in my lifetime, it's more so women that I come in contact with and have associated with that have wanted to build or upgrade their current position, you know? And it was more so positive interactions, because I'm not no Bible guy, but certain things, certain statements that are made in the Bible, I agree with, as far as personally looking at it from a realistic perspective and not like a brainwashed religious perspective. Some things in there are useful for your life. And one thing I'm trying to touch on, it's a general one. Everybody knows it. If you don't, then I'm about to tell you right now. It's called, like, it says, like, be fruitful and multiply. And to me, that doesn't just mean reproduction with children. That's a big part of it too, as far as our nation, within the nation is concerned. We need to do that. But what I'm saying is, be fruitful and multiply positive interactions. You know what I'm saying? Be fruitful and multiply your resources. Be fruitful and multiply, and then you can only do that if you've maintain the soil in you to produce or manifest externally, you know what I'm saying, what you planted inside. You know, if you're developing yourself, if you're making sure that your mentality is solid, you're making sure that your spirit is strong. You know what I'm saying? And for those of us who still have younger years, especially the men, you know what I'm saying? Especially in my tribe, you know, if you're making your body strong by staying active and keeping your exercise going, like and doing what you need to do to remain healthy and keeping your stamina up, that's all in the vein or for the purpose of not only self-preservation for your personal self, but then when you start to go out and build and find those of like kind, of like tribe, you know what I'm saying, trying to build as well, then you'll be able to manifest what you planted inside, you know what I'm saying? And once it's grown, you've cultivated it, you've watered it, you've nurtured it, and then once it's grown within you, you'll be able to manifest it, because you will not be able to manifest what's not in you. If it's not in you to produce A, B, and C, because you haven't planted to be able to produce A, B, and C, you'll never be able to manifest A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? But if you take the steps to take care of yourself, hydrate yourself, you know what I'm saying? Hydration, staying active, making sure your blood is flowing properly. That's where it started. Then make sure your mind is strong and focused, and make sure that you have something that you're willing to stand on no matter the circumstances, because that'll keep you focused through times when tribulation comes your way, which will come to every person. Once you've made up your mind, okay, no matter the consequence or the repercussion, I know this is what I came to this situation for. I'm trying to go for this. This is what I want. I'm gonna stand on what I believe at this moment, because your understanding should always progress, but according to your understanding at that moment. If you believe it wholeheartedly with the purest intention and you believe it's right, stand on it. And whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, because we all get one life in flesh. We all get one life. So if you spend your life trying to please somebody else, or you spend your life trying to not to step on the next person's toes, and you're forsaking or putting to the side what you feel as though life is, what your purpose in life is, you're gonna, not only are you shorting yourself, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, all those who you may have influenced or given the courage to stand on their principle, you're doing them a disservice. Stop being selfish for a second and think about the young ones looking at you and observing you. Think about those who wish they had the knowledge that you have at that moment. You've obtained whatever you've obtained at that moment, whatever you've accomplished at that moment. Think about those who wish to accomplish, if they only had the limited understanding that you have at your moment to accomplish what you have, because they have less than. It's always somebody doing a little bit worse than you are. And if you have that mentality in your mind, you will appreciate more where you stand at the moment. You'll appreciate it more. You won't take for granted your current situation. Now, don't become complacent. Don't let that be an excuse for you to become complacent. What I'm saying is appreciate where you are at the moment, and then from there, attempt to build on what you're maintaining. But maintain it though. Appreciation is not comfortability. It's not like, okay, I'm cool, I got this, I'm good with this. Just like if you're an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? If you're a businessman, if you're a hustler, you know what I'm saying? If you made $1,000 today, are you gonna just sit on the $1,000 for a couple months and not try to make nothing else happen? You're not gonna try to build on that $1,000. You're just gonna sit on it. You good? You maintaining You're not really maintaining it really, because what are you doing with the 1,000? The money's not making no money. So really, you just complacent with the 1,000. Or are you gonna build on it? Are you gonna try to put more with that 1,000 to make it 3,000, and then 6,000, then 9,000, then, you know, so on and so forth? Are you gonna build on it? That's the question. That's the question you gotta ask yourself, man, and put that in the vein of your understanding. Are you gonna just sit on what you have right now? Are you cool? Are you satisfied where your life is at the moment? Or are you gonna build on what you've already acquired? Because not to diminish or belittle what you've acquired or the point you are at this point in your life, kudos to you, all good, you know, clap it up, round of applause, that's all good. But build on that though. Don't just be cool with what you got at this moment, because you could always have more if you choose to get more. Like in my case, like I need more friends, man. I feel like this little social distancing thing, really, really messed with the opportunities for those of us who are social people, like naturally social. When things got shut down, then they made this little pandemic the main cause of everybody's fear, the sickness of getting sick. You know what I'm saying? Um, I went somewhere the other day and somebody was like, man, hey man, you believe that there's actually a virus? I said, man, it's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of what you put in your face, like who you trust. You know what I'm saying? As far as the information you get, you know, and then you pair that with your own personal observation. I'm telling you, I didn't tell him this, but I'm just, you know, remembering the question, and I'm expressing to you what my mentality was. Because if I would have sat there and told him all this, I would have came off as preachy. But what I said, I ended up saying like, I said, I don't think it's a matter of belief, bro, and I just left it at that. You know, I guess he wanted to low key ask me why I ain't have my bandana on my face, cause I don't got no mask, and I go around with my bandana and stuff, and I had it down, I guess, and in my mind he didn't say this, but I'm feeling like, cause we on the bus, I'm feeling like he was wondering why I didn't have it. But to me, it's a matter of what you trust as far as the information you're being fed, because that really disrupted those of us who thrive on being social and being in face-to-face situations. You know, because the online thing is cool. That is technically face-to-face, but I'm talking about in person, face-to-face. You know, because this internet thing I'm not too privy to. Like, I can get on here and chop it up for about 30 minutes, but this is not where you should be trying to develop anything that you're trying to grow or develop. That's like movements, businesses, to me, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a more of a personal thing. And then this gives those who want to sabotage you the opportunity to do you in, because you get on here and tell your plan and what you're trying to do and everything you plan to set out to do. And you're not realizing that out of these billion people that's in the world, there are going to be people that don't want to see you succeed in what you're trying to do. So why would you get on a platform where multiple people can see and then tell what your plan is? That's the in-person situation. That you need to be doing that on the ground where you at, in person, instead of like over mediums where people can infiltrate and, you know, intercept and pick up on what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say the social, like the pandemic thing and the social distancing, shelter in place, all that kind of stuff, shutting down the institutions and things like that, it really disrupted those of us who seek to build connections in person, which is cool because you have to be adaptable in any situation, whatever circumstances come. But it just is unfortunate that that things went this way, the way they went, you know what I'm saying, at a time like this. But to me, those who have designs on our demise, that want to see us fail, that don't want to see us build a nation within a nation, because why would a nation want a nation to be built within their nation? So the reason they've planned this out way beyond our vision in our lifetime. They've been setting this in motion and carrying on with what their agendas are. You know, not on no conspiracy, but just on what you could see in the day to day. Why don't you have how many family members do you have that have their own businesses, that have economic standing or own something, or you know what I'm saying? Not the face of, you know, like who owns things that are being supported in a way to where they could build more and share more. Or is your family still struggling? Because how your family is living should be a testament to whether or not somebody or one among you is successful. Because then what's the point of the success? What's the point of the gain? What's the point of the growth if you cannot share it with those who are of you or come from you? So think about those who you know. How many people you know own something? Have enough to ease the burdens of the next ones, you know? How many you know, if you're being honest? Not many, right? And I feel like it was made that way. We've been sectioned off and blocked off for so long that once we're coming into the understanding of knowledge on how to do, they've had a 400, 300-year head start. And this is not just to be talking about and complaining and be like, oh, woe is us and all. Nah, we know the situation now, so we should be putting things in motion to make it to where we can change it and protect what we build. You know what I'm saying? We should be setting things in motion. So I'm just saying all this to say they've been on this track for a while, you know? And to me, this right here at this time, this pandemic, this scare about the virus, is just a way to prevent those who are for in-person development and growth and building to discourage that, you know? Because with terrorism, if I say, man, a terroristic situation happened, you can attribute that to a human being doing a terroristic act. Like the police are terrorists, you know? You can see on video when they kill one of us. That's terroristic. That's a human being. You can mobilize against a human being or a terrorist act. But when you say a virus, that's an unseen enemy. You don't know who has what, and then you start to be critical of your own because you cannot see a virus. You just know you don't want to get sick. That goes back to that fear of death. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't live your best life or strive to live your best life or continue to live. I'm not saying that. You know, you should want to live, but I'm saying you should not fear the alternative. And that's what it is. They put that, you know, sensationalism in the atmosphere, everybody fearing getting sick, and then now that prevents those of us who need to be in the presence of each other to build rapport, connection, understanding, come to common ground, to strategize, to plan for better in the future. It's preventing us from doing that because everybody has to be in their own, and they've already been a cohesive unit. So now when they catch us isolated, you get situations like the Ahmaud Arbery situation. Or George Floyd, you know what I'm saying, or Breonna Taylor, because they isolate us when they separate us. You know what I'm saying? And when I say isolation, just because somebody's out there filming with a camera and there's like 1,000 of us out there filming, the person is still going through what he's going through by himself, alone, because nobody stepped in to do nothing. In the past, I'm seeing some people doing it now, but we all need to be on that page. If you see it going down with somebody else, you should empathize with your tribesman, with your comrade, with your loved one, man or woman. You should empathize and be like, yo, I'm not finna let that go down. We should all have a collective view to be on that level, you know. But as it stands now, if I'm getting hemmed up, jammed up by them boys and stuff like that out on the street, it could be 1,000 of us of the same struggle out there watching it. Y'all just gonna film it. Nobody gonna do anything and run. So really, I'm isolated even in the presence of many. You feel me? Even when I'm getting roughed up, slammed up, possibly tased and shot up, I'm isolated even then by myself because there's no support. And why do you think they call backup as soon as they're dealing with one of us or mistreating or brutalizing before they brutalize one of us? Because they wait till the rest come, you know what I'm saying, to start jumping on you and slamming you. But why do you think they call for backup? Because they realize their strength in numbers. We haven't realized that yet. And I'm not talking about numbers like how many people can film the same incident and how many people can get the most likes. Like we in competition with each other to get likes and responses and things like that. I'm talking about like as far as how many of us, as far as numbers, are going to realize and make ourselves the support system for those who's going through that, like they do. But anyway, that's a thought on a different level for another time. Comment down below if you want me to touch on that some more. But yeah, so just like food for thought, and always try to surround yourself with people who are for progress, for building, whatever progress is to you. Whatever you believe upward mobility looks like, look for those who have that similar mentality and try to build with them. You don't have to necessarily take charge. That's another thing why I find myself more inclined to be in the presence of women. Because when it comes to men in dialogue, I feel as though men attempt to dominate. They're trying to dominate their point on you. Well, really, it ain't about me dominating or forcing on you what I think or what I believe. I'm just sharing with you. It's about sharing. And in my experience, more times than not, women are more inclined to share with you if they feel that you're a genuine person. If they feel like you don't got an ulterior motive. Because really it's like a defense or a barrier that's up. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, women were the first oppressed group in the world. Women, period. Why? Because men had the physical strength, whereas women had the emotional strength. You know what I'm saying? The intuitive strength. You know what I'm saying? The mental, the spiritual strength. The men had the physical. So then, therefore, way back in civilizations of old, it was the women who were subjected to the treatment that black men, black women of this country right now being. If you picture it like that, like women were the first ones, you will value your women more, because the cornerstone of any nation being built and sustained and maintained and then progressing into to the future is the women. And if your women ain't straight, then what you, bro, it's over. It ain't no coming back from that, cause there's no next to be. And if there's no next to be, there's no potential or opportunity to build anything beyond what the present moment says we have now, what we trying to maintain now. So anyway, that's why. And then it's not about dominating in conversation. It's about sharing. Share your perspective. You know what I'm saying? There might be a disagreement. Cool. Why do you disagree though? I'm just curious, like, bomb. And then, you know, back and forth. Because just because you disagree, as long as you understand, just because you disagree don't mean you can't build. As long as there's understanding. And like I said before, you have to understand to disagree or agree. So it's cool we disagree. If your goal is my goal, if we trying to attain the same thing, really the disagreement is the method on how we get into the agenda. So it's cool to disagree. It's cool. Right, we can still build. Now, if there's misunderstanding, no understanding, it's impossible to build anything, you know? And I really hate when, on a side note, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really hate when somebody has you misunderstood, and then according to their interpretation of how they misunderstood you, they spread that to those who they come in contact with. So now it's a bunch of people misunderstanding you, and they approach you off of the way that they misunderstood you without even knowing you. They having dialogue with you or talk to you or got their own understanding of how you are in conversation. They heard it from somebody else who they trust. You know what I'm saying? And that irks me, man. That causes a lot of conflict. That causes a lot of confusion. That causes a lot of misunderstandings, things being misconstrued. Well, all it takes is conversation, because like I keep saying, things that we put so much emphasis and weight on, and things we fear so much, or things we're so apprehensive to indulge in, if you realize that we only get one life, so why are you gonna cheat yourself out of possibly growing to be a better human being in your lifetime because you're apprehensive, or you're scared to participate, or you're scared to indulge in, or you're scared to encounter? Fear will stop you from achieving what you desire. That's the only thing in the way, is fear. Everybody, I'm hoping, if you're not like just a lifeless zombie, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not like a lifeless zombie, everybody aspires or wishes to have something that they're not in possession of at the moment, hopefully. It don't have to be material. It could be companionship. It could be loyalty. You're seeking to obtain something that you do not have in this, and that's human nature. You always want more than what you have. You know what I'm saying? You want something other than what you had as options. We all want more options, you know? So if you aspire to have something that you do not have, anything could be obtained by any human being in this lifetime. So those two things being true in my mind, the only thing that will stop you from getting what you desire to have is the fear within you to attempt to go achieve it. All you gotta do is find a method to get it, right? You know what I'm saying? So not having the understanding cannot be an excuse, because if you do not fear going to get the understanding, going to experience things, trying things, according to the understanding that you do have at the moment, you know what I'm saying? And keeping in the back of your mind, like, yo, I want to build on the understanding that I have. There's no reason why you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. There's no reason. There's no excuse. You can't tell me anything. It's not going to make sense to you. I'm not going to understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get it, because there's no way that you cannot get anything you want. Whatever it is, I'm not here to judge you on what you want. That's your personal whatever. But I'm just saying, whatever you want, you can get that. Like for me, I want more friends. I can go out today and when I get done with this, I'm about to go out into the world and soak up the sun, because it's a beautiful day out here in California right now. Hopefully it's a beautiful day where you are as well. But yeah, when I go out here, if I want more friends, if I want to build my contacts up while I'm out here, I could do that. I have never feared engaging in conversation. I might pick and choose what conversations I want to have. I might pick and choose if I want to have a conversation in the first place, but I've never feared jumping into conversation and talking and speaking and trying to build a rapport. You know what I'm saying? I was known for that. You gotta remember, man. Back in my younger days, we used to go to the mall, and the older brothers, the older homies, you know what I'm saying? They used to be like, yo, I bet you want to go speak to her, just off top. You know what I'm saying? And I had to develop the heart. Now, when we first started doing that, I was kind of nervous. Then there was this one time I got cussed out. Never approach a woman when she on the phone, bro, because you never know what kind of business she handling on that phone, how important that call is. She could be on the phone with her dying relative, and you, what's up, what's happening, so what you trying to do, kind of, who is you? And she cussed me out. So once I got over that initial shock, I was cool. It was nothing. I could just, yeah, what's up, what's happening? And then try to find common ground on the spot. You know what I'm saying? Trying to come to an understanding on the spot. That's pressure. I work well under pressure more times than not, as long as I understand what my what's expected of me. You know what I'm saying? What the principle is. As long as I understand what my responsibility is, what my role is, you know what I'm saying? Pressure is good, but when there's uncertainty on what the responsibility is, what the role is, whether by lack of experience, lack of knowledge, nobody putting you on, whatever, to me, that's the worst kind of pressure, because that pressure right there will kind of make you, it will debilitate you or keep you, you know, disabled or stagnant, stuck, because it's uncertainty in that equation. And a fool would be responsible for something he don't understand or is uncertain about. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know what your role entails, what your responsibility is, why would you be responsible for it? Because you don't know what you're supposed to do. So out the gate, anything you do, it's not gonna be the right thing, bro. Because you don't even know the starting point. What's expected of you. You're bound to step on somebody's toes. You're bound to do something outside of that responsibility. And then you're gonna be looked at as an irresponsible person because you haven't properly handled the responsibility. So never be responsible for that never be responsible for something when there's uncertainty around that responsibility. Let me just say that. But yeah, so I've never feared. So if I wanted to change that today and get more friends, I can do that. There's no fear. Do not let fear stop you from obtaining what you don't have at the moment. You can get anything you want. You know what I'm saying? So that was just a freestyle thought for the day, you know, checking in on the soapbox again. And yeah, coming to you live, man. So like and subscribe, you know, like what you subscribe to. That's in anything in life. You know what I'm saying? Anything you put your effort and energy into, like that. If you don't like it, cut that off. Do something different, because there's endless possibilities in this life, man, in your lifetime. So yeah, like what you subscribe to. And it's all love. And enjoy your day. Get out and soak up the sun, you know? All right.